Okay, so today we're going to solve linear and nonlinear systems. And here's the big idea behind solving linear and nonlinear systems. Let's say that your nonlinear system is a U-shape, and you have a linear system that's a line. Well, you should see that there would be two solutions, because solutions are where a graph intersects. So there would be one solution, and here would be the second one. So these are both solutions, and that's what we're going to try to do. Let's look at how one of these problems would look like. So our first problem might look like this, where I have y equals x squared minus 16 and y equals x plus 4. And when we get to a problem like this, the first thing that we should know is that these things are going to be equal, because when they intersect, these y points will be the same. So if these two things are equal, we know that x squared minus 16 is equal to x plus 4. Now this might look like it's kind of hard to solve because you have x's on both sides. And when you try to get the x's together, like when I subtract x here, I can't subtract x from the x squared because these two things, they're not the same. So we can't subtract them, but we can subtract them there and make it look like this. Now I'm going to do something that is even more weird. I'm going to combine these things by moving the negative 4 over here. So normally you're taught to get the x's on different sides of the numbers, but for this one we're going to get them all on the same side, and 4 minus 4 will give you 0. Now at this stage what you have is you have a quadratic, because of the squared term, equal to 0, which means we can solve this thing by factoring. If you remember factoring before, you should know that any trinomial can be written as two binomials, just like this. And then you should think, what multiplies together to give you x squared? Well, x does, times x. And then it becomes what multiplies together to give you this, but adds together to give you this. So you take negative 20 off of the side, and then you try to think of factors that when you multiply them, will multiply together to give you negative 10, or negative 1. So you could try negative 10 and 2, but that's not going to work because that would add to 8. Or you could try negative 5 and 4, and negative 4 and 5 would work because that would add up to get you 1. Now at this stage, we don't have the answer just yet because we just have x minus 5 and x plus 4 equals 0. So we have to think, what number could I plug in for x to make this thing become 0? Well, that's easy, 5, because 5 minus 5 would give me 0. Then I could do the same thing with this side over here and think, what number could I plug into x to get 0? And that would be negative 4. So my two x values are 5 and negative 4. This, however, is not your answer yet. Because if you remember before when we talked about this, our answers are points, and all we found were two x values. So the question becomes, if we know this one is 5 and this one's negative 4, how do we find our y values? Well, that should be simple. We would find our y values by taking this x value and plugging it back in to either of these two equations. So we need to plug in our two answers, which was 5 and negative 4, into there. And when we do that, when we plug in 5, we would get 5 common 9 as one of our answers. And for the other one, we would get -4, 0. And that would be our answers for this problem. We're going to try one more. Okay, so for this one, again, we have the same kind of circumstances. The weird part about this one is it's not written as y equals, so let's fix that. So we're going to add 3x to both sides. We'll get y equals 3x plus 1. Well, now we know the same thing we did last time. These two y's are the same. So I could write this as 3x plus 1 is equal to 2x squared plus x minus 3. From this stage forward, we want to get all the x's together. So I would get 1 is equal to 2x squared minus x. Yep. Minus 2x minus 3. Subtract 1, get 0 equals 2x squared minus 2x minus 4. Now, at this stage, it should look just a little bit different from the last one because we have a number in front. Anytime you have a number in front, the first thing I would do is try to divide it out. So we have a 2 there, so I'm going to divide everything by 2 to get rid of it. That would become 0, x squared minus 1x minus 2. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We know that this thing right here is a trinomial, so it should multiply together to give me two binomials, so x times x would work. Now we're going to think about what multiplies together to give me this and adds together to give me this. So we'll take -2 off to the side. Well, there's only one thing that multiplies to -2, which is -2 and 1. And when you add those things together, you do get -1. So we get -2 plus 1 is equal to 0. Again, we have to figure out what the two insides would make it equal to 0, which is pretty easy. 2 and -1. These are my two x values, but again, they're not my answers because our answers should be points. So we need to find our y values. So let's look up here. So we want to plug 2 and -1 in for x right here and find what our points are. So when you plug 2 in, you get 6 plus 1, which is 7. And then when you plug -1 in, you get -3 plus 1, which would be -2. Whoops. And that would be your answers. Try the different problems again today. If you have trouble factoring, just let me know and I can try to help you factor. Or if you even have trouble with trying to substitute these things in, let me know and I'll try to help you with that.